ever felt like your business is running you instead of the other way around? Today, we are getting into a common struggle for service provider. Feeling stuck in the cycle of chasing clients, relying on referrals, and battling burnout, all while needing to stand out and build real trust in a crowded digital world. There's the challenge of attracting the right leads, keeping your marketing consistent, and making meaningful connections without burning out or becoming a helicopter parent to your business. If this sounds familiar to you, you won't want to miss today's episode. So let me introduce you to Maiko Sakai. She is a quiz alchemist and business consultant who guides service providers to acquire clients through psychology-driven quizzes. Your signature program is actually a 10-step quiz creation blueprint that turns quiz making into an energizing collaboration that builds email lists, earns rave reviews, and creates deep trust fast. With a blend of strategy, psychology, and creativity, Maiko empowers small business owners to scale visibility and revenue on autopilot. And if you know me, guys, you know I love me some autopilot. Originally from Japan and now proud New Yorker, that's probably why we get along so well, she is fueled by ethnic cuisine, ultra-modern design, and exotic houseplants. Maiko holds an MBA from Cornell and leads with heart, humor, and hard-won business savvy. Now, girl, we have an interesting story. Like my guests know I have an application process. I have my ClickUp. You can literally see the whole process on YouTube. I share all of this. However, tell my audience, you came into this conversation to come onto the podcast a little bit different, and I don't think that was ever the plan.
No, it wasn't the plan. So what? Turn back in, I guess it was December 2024, if I'm not mistaken. I could be like around that time. Yeah, like a post the holiday, whatever. So I've been on your email list forever, and for whatever reason, like I stuck with it. I didn't unsub whatever, and then I was checking up. And one day I read one of those emails that came into my inbox, and it was about your really casual YouTube clip. And whatever prompted it, I clicked on it, right? And the message really was something that touched me. So what I decided to do was I just recorded a video saying, hey, I get it. I have been there and you've been super honest. I just wanted to tell you that it was so compelling for me to record this video. And that was it. I sent it over via email thinking, well, that's the only way for me to send my video. So, well, whatever happens. But then, like a couple of weeks later, I think I got a message from you somehow, whether, over IG or in email saying that, hey, I just saw your video and I recorded my response. And when I checked it out, you made me cry.
And it went both ways. I suck at email. It's like I still have an email that I need to reply to where from a client and newsletter subscriber replied to me to one of my latest emails. I suck at email. If I can take my phone and just do something really quick, I do that. And especially with sharing my story, what had happened is your message also had a profound impact on me. And I'm like, I can't type this out right now. I literally just went, because again, I share a lot of myself on social media. I went to social media. I shared that story, how a newsletter subscriber hit me in the feels. And then at some point, I finally managed to reply to the email, which again always takes way too long. Guys, just tag me on Instagram. It's faster to reply. And I think they said something to the extent of, hey, sorry, I suck at email reply, but by the way, did you see the impact you had on me? And that's how we started talking. And I think interestingly enough, I actually did follow you on LinkedIn already, but not on Instagram. I don't even know. The world is becoming really, really small. And for me, on my end, coming into this relationship, it was like, oh my God, somebody is taking the time to reply to me. How often
I've
do
never
we
done that
just...
for anyone else. I know I've never done that for anyone else, but it's just that, like, if I could pull up that very clip, I know you still have it on your channel. It just, everything that you talked about there, it's like really real. And nobody ever really talks about it. And I realized that that scores a point, right? Like that, I'm willing to take my time to record a message to tell you that you're doing something that others are not doing. You know, like one of those things, I'll use this as an example because you did mention it, is that it's hard to walk the walk, not because we are lying about it or now like we just like to tell others to do what they're supposed to be doing and we don't practice. It's not, that's not the intent. It's just happens sometimes. Like I'm sure your audience, a lot of them are, possibly marketers or doing PR or the branding, whatever. I wanted to ask you guys, how are your social media accounts? Are they consistent or not? Because the answer can be no, and that's totally okay. Why? Because they're too busy catering to their clients. They don't have enough time to continuously be consistent with their social media accounts. It's just by design and by default, it actually happens. But it is all about how we feel about it and how we communicate it, that to the world to say, hey, look, this is not intentional. We're not walking the walk, but these things happen. And you were super honest about it. So I was like, you know what? I think people need to hear this. That's how it went.
And yeah, I'm not sharing 100%, let's be honest, because when we're in it, we are also in it, right? There's a lot going on. But I do believe sharing the struggles, because a lot of people say, share when you figured it out. I'm like, no, by the time I figured it out, I forgot the pain point I'm in. That's what I believe in. And looking at your personal journey. So you've also written about overcoming burnout, reassessing your why. Can you share, and by the way, guys, it's on the blog. You will find links in the description. You know how this goes. Maiko, can you share some of those pivotal moments when you realized you needed to change your approach to business? And how did that shape your philosophy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that takes like a few different steps. I'm going to try to go very quick on that. I started out my consulting business just like everybody else starts normally, which is to start from referrals, word of mouth. Usually you find your own clients locally, which, luckily I have no shortage of because of where I am. So I started that way. Then I realized there was a bit of a weird sort of a codependency that can potentially happen with some of the clients, which also nobody really talks about. So I wrote a blog about that, right? You want your clients to leave at some point. But
yes,
because
not call me at midnight because they need something.
Right. And you want to send them their way and they can come back later. But you don't want it to, but what's happening sometimes with a lot of service providers, service business, is that they create some kind of a mechanism so that your clients need to depend on you. So that there will be a continuous retainer, there will be a continuous relationship. You have to cut them sometimes. And that was like one of those, the pivotal moment that I realized that I need to let them go. I need to design my offers, design my engagement, design my courses, all of those things, so that they can be on their own and just leave. And I need to be okay with it. And that took some time to get used to, of course, but not a lot of people actually talk about that, you know?
Now, that brings me to another piece when we did our research where you are describing, I talk about it too, right? When I talk about founders, it's our baby. We need to let go of it. If you really want a self-sustainable business, you need to stop being a founder and babying your business. You need to step into a CEO role. And you describe your business in the similar situation as a living entity that needs genuine care, and I'm looking at my notes, and to, again, also not as the baby to justify our limiting beliefs. Now, how can entrepreneurs shift that mindset to nurture their business for real growth and not be a helicopter parent to their business?
Right. There is a difference. It sounds similar, right? And when I say, and this is my sort of like a go-to line that causes a lot of commotions, is this: your business is not your baby. And a lot of people disagree with that. Now, there are two different ways when it comes to that phrasing. Let's just say one of my clients say, yeah, but my business is my baby. That means she's defending it. That's the yeah, and that's the bad example. Good example is that I nurture my business like an infant, so I will watch over just so that the baby will grow, but I'm not going to defend something that bad, that happens or whatever. Like, I'm not going to defend. So there are two different ways. So it really depends on how you say it. And I would realize, okay, which camp they are on, you know what I mean? Which team they're on. So how can you do it? I use the gardening analogy oftentimes. You have to be able to pull the weeds, prune the trees so that what matters the most can grow. But that cutting or pulling, those things are necessary. I don't know if that makes sense.
It gives room for the things you want to grow. I'm like, I have the same conversations, right? Where it's like, I just told a potential client this week, no, I'm not going to work with you. And I might actually have been quite rough in my reply to this because they weren't going to listen. They were one of those clients, they want to hire an expert and then tell them what to do. And I'm like, you don't even listen to the half an hour I took the time to explain to you why you are on the wrong path. Why would I put my energy into this? So I weeded them out. Guess what? I just signed a new client this morning, and one of my clients is flying me in next month to their board meeting to present the new structure rather than just being online. Literally,
you just created a room for it.
Exactly, and that's exactly. I'm like, I love that garden analogy where you're like, we are weeding out and we are making room for the things we actually do want.
Yeah, that's the care side of things, and don't defend it like, I know best because it's my baby. Like, what if you don't, right? Like, what if you need experts? Like, what are you trying to protect? What are you trying to defend? That's where the problem is.
Everybody just listening, I'm telling you, you always should watch the podcast because I make the best faces behind the scenes. Because when you talk about this, it's like, yes, we all get defensive at some point. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna hit some kind of a button of mine where I get defensive. However, fortunately, I have done enough work that even when I end up in a defensive moment, 5 minutes later, I'm like, I get it. You hit something there. This was mine. And then I can look at it because I don't know what I don't know. How often does it happen to us where we have a perception of something, we have a vision of something, and we haven't done it yet, so we don't have the knowledge that somebody else has? How are you going to get that knowledge if you say, I know what's best for my business?
Exactly. What you don't know, you don't know. And it's funny that nowadays that conversation bleeds into ChatGPT conversation. This is, also a juicy one. How do, like, you can't input what you don't know. So don't come back to me and say that well, like I'm all good because, I can just use ChatGPT or whatever. I don't look at your face. Whatever comes out is good enough. I'm like, okay, if good enough is your standard and you're happy with it, I absolutely have no problem with that. It's totally fine, but you can't input what you don't know. So how do you know that what came out is going to do the job for you?
I knew I would love to. I knew I was going to love this episode because it's like you're speaking to exactly the conversations I also had with like, I'm not threatened by AI because guess what? AI hasn't gone through what I have gone through and it doesn't see the connections I see. Do we utilize ChatGPT and Sonnet and all the things? Yes, love me Magi. Guys, I'm putting it in the description. I don't even just work with one AI. I'm not even just stuck in ChatGPT. However, we use it with clients. We use it in my business. I use it for brainstorm. I use it because I'm an external processor. I use it daily. I don't even remember a time and day where I didn't have AI. However, what you get out is equal what you put in. If you don't even know what questions you need to ask, what you need to research, or what you need, how is it gonna give you information?
Exactly. And you're gonna take it because it sounds good enough. You know what I mean? Like, and not only that, most of those AI tools are very confirmation biased. They are going to be your cheerleaders. But that's not what you want. I want my GPT to sweat, right? I want my GPT to argue with me. There's a whole different way to use it. And here's just a quick example. So I was working on my client's quiz yesterday. It took me 6 hours to just do Q&A because the GPT just can't keep up with me. And I'm not letting it go to say, that is wrong, that logic is not working out, or like, that description isn't all that on point. How about this? How about that? That takes like hours because I know what I want. That's different.
I want to dive deeper into quizzes because you set me up perfect for that. So you have your quiz creation 10-step blueprint. So you literally help entrepreneurs create quizzes that collect all the relevant information. So it's not just the BuzzFeed, which Disney princess am I? You are using quizzes as lead generation. Now, what are the most common mistakes you see people do when they try using quizzes as lead generation? What is some of these? Oh my God, if I could tell everybody you are doing this wrong, that's the thing.
Yep. So the biggest thing is usually where they focus on the most in terms of, all the elements that are required to build that quiz funnel for lead generation and email building. So a lot of times people are too worried about hows. So how to set up a funnel, which platform to use, are they all integrated, yada, 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 all the tech stack and all that stuff. And a lot of people don't even talk about the quality of the quiz itself. What is the angle? How are you going to make it stand out from the rest? Like, for example, if you're a branding strategist, I'm just using it as an example. There are thousands of quizzes already out there. So how are you going to make it so different, so insightful, so valuable that they're going to be so wowed and compelled to put their primary email address in?
And not just a scam email. I have newsletter ad for everything that I don't necessarily care about.
See, everybody does that, but you want their primary email address, wouldn't you? I do, yeah. So making sure that happens, you actually have to put enough amount of attention to how insightful your quiz is. And, like I always use this example of this bad question in it, where, what are you struggling right now? So what's wrong with that question? What are you struggling right now as part of your quiz? First off, it's boring as a hell. And not only that, it has the word struggle. You know what I mean? And that's a touch negative. And it also forces people to burn extra brain calories to figure that out. And they get tired of it and they just want to jump off. Oh, I don't want to talk about my struggle right now. Do you know how many different ways to ask the same exact question without using that word, without talking about something that's negative? So many. But how are you going to put that in the ChatGPT if you don't know what to ask?
And especially, I am always focused on the negative. I see what can go wrong, but I don't want to install this into my audience. I don't want to install this into somebody of already saying, you're burning your business down. I'm like, no. And I had to learn it myself too, where it's like, I'm not going for the problem because, again, it's like, don't think of an elephant. Don't think, really? So we are already placing that struggle into somebody, and I'm like, don't. So I love that you brought that up.
You still wanted to find out what they're struggling. You still do.
You talk around it.
Make sure. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Now, with that, if somebody in my audience wants to start, I think we all like playing quizzes, right? It's like, I'm the personality quiz queen over here. I cannot stop. It is an amazing way to build a lead magnet. Now, what's that one actionable step you would say my audience can take today to not keep pushing it out?
Yeah, so that's where the 10-step blueprint comes in. And I've been pointed out, like, why did you even name it 10 steps? That's too many steps. I'm like, listen, it's not that bad. Because at first, the 5 is the most crucial part. The other 5, you kind of have to know that that's involved with it. So, you can go to my main website. It's right over there. You can download it for free just so that you get to have this general understanding of what's involved to create one. So that's a good start right there. And I've been thinking, I wanted to do something really special for your channel. So what can I do? So I have something under my sleeve. Do you want me to share?
Oh, yeah. I also had no idea this is coming, just saying.
I know everybody has quiz ideas and they haven't pulled the trigger. And I totally understand the reason why. So why don't I give away 5 spots to talk about your quiz idea? I can audit it and recalibrate it so that you're going to be on the right path. And that's 30 minutes. And I'm happy to do that for your audience.
Why? Guys, why do I have to be the host? Because I totally want you to check out my quiz because I think it needs polishing.
So the one spot is taken. 4 left.
So we are saying that the host sometimes gets some goodies too. Because it's like, I feel it. It's like, I know my quiz has bones behind it. There's information behind it. But I suck at storytelling, so I know it's not as good as it can be. Guys, I'm gonna figure out by the time this episode is live, I'm gonna figure out, you guys gonna have to check out the description. We're gonna do something. If you are on my newsletter, you definitely are in the loop of what's happening. It'll be in the description. I don't know yet how we're going to do this giveaway. It's going to be in the description. So find it there. I figure it out. That's why I do technology. Now, after this surprise left field, I got to figure out some technology. Thank you for that, by the way.
I'm so excited.
I'm like, that's easy 2.5 hours of your time that you are offering my audience. So thank you for that. That means a lot.
You're very welcome.
And you aim, this is what I want to close off this episode. You aim to be extremely location independent, which completely aligns with me, right? I'm right now in the middle of Kansas, let's be honest. Next month, I'm going to be back in Sacramento. The month after, I'm going to be in Michigan. I'm kind of all over the U.S. right now. So I get the extreme location independent. There is a freedom to it. There is also a safety to it, to knowing you can pack things up and go where you want to go or potentially have to go. My mom is not the youngest. My grandpa is not the youngest. Yep. So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs that want to design a business that supports their ideal lifestyle? What do you want my audience to walk away with today?
Definitely, this relates to you in a sense for what you offer to your audience, right? The back-end system setup. It can get hairy, so hire an expert, but you also need to be dangerous enough to know how that is set up. But if that foundation is solid, it frees you up, right? Your time, your energy, those are the two important currencies. So what I suggest really is to invest in that unsexy but can be really sexy part of the back end setup. It may take some of the front loading work, but it's like a gift that keeps on giving kind of thing. So don't skip on it. That is the thing that I wanted to tell everybody about. Then everything else, either you can work on your own or you can work with your team to build things around it so that you can be everywhere else. And also the second thing that I would say is this, hiring, right? You're not hiring people to manage them. Remember that. You want your people to manage you. Make sure your hiring system is set up for that. Now, I can talk about this for another hour. Maybe we
might just going to have to have you come back. Because it's like, shout out to Libby. She is bossing me around rather than me micromanaging her. So I feel you on that one.
You practice what you preach.
I try to give, honestly, this year is really hard on standard operating procedures and getting all of the information out of my head.
I feel that.
Because I also follow into the same trap, right? I have moments where it's like, which process did we decide on? Which AI persona am I using this with? And which prompt am I using for this? It's like, I even don't have the brain power to keep it all, because sometimes you run a process once a quarter and you don't remember. Now I spent an hour trying to figure out what I did last time to make it work.
Right. Everybody's going through that, I feel like. And I'm sensing that from other business owners as well. But for that reason, obviously, being in your ecosystem, your orbit, is really important because you're sharing all that information, and whoever's listening to this right now, you're not alone, but you really need the support and knowledge base. So be active in those spaces, including yours, Evie.
We're working on it. And this is actually the first time I mentioned this publicly. We just aligned with a tool to help us make standard operating procedures so simple. You don't even need to get ChatGPT or anything. It's like, you know me, I'm an external processor. I talk. It does nearly everything, 75% automatically. So everybody that is struggling with standard operating procedures, keep an eye out the Ask Evie YouTube channel. There's things coming really soon. This wasn't planned, but it just happens to align.
Amazing.
Maiko, I am so thankful that you reached out originally, that we connected on social media, that I got to meet you, and hopefully one of these days I'm making my way all the way over there and I can just stop by for coffee, because I would love to meet you in person one day.
We can talk for days.
Oh my God. Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be back on the podcast too.
Absolutely.
And this, ladies, is why just reach out. Just reach out. You never know what's going to happen. Michael literally had just posted on Threads. It's like, hey, do you guys know any podcasts? I'm like, hey, why aren't you coming onto mine? And here we are.
That's right.
Seize the day. Write that message. Send the video. Just do the thing. And with that, thanks so much for being a friend. Thanks so much for coming onto the podcast. Just thank you.
You're very welcome, and my pleasure. And I was so looking forward to this chat. And You made my day.
For everybody else, if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what's coming. Hit that subscribe button and you'll find all the links in the description to go follow Maiko, go grab her blueprint, go do all the things. And whatever I'm telling you in the description to sign up for the giveaway, you know it. I'll see you in there. Bye, everybody.